Thank you so much, Prime Minister Modi, Chief Minister Patel, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, Secretary of State John Kerry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for welcoming me here to vibrant Gujarat. This is my third visit to India as President of the World Bank Group, and my first time here in Gujarat. When I received this invitation, I realized that I couldn't pass up the opportunity to visit the home state of Prime Minister Modi. In Korean culture, we take it very seriously when a friend asks you to visit his hometown. So thank you for inviting me. I'm truly honored to be here with you, Mr. Prime Minister. At the World Bank Group, we work with countries to promote economic development and maximize economic growth. But we do this in the context of our twin goals to end extreme poverty by 2030 and to boost shared prosperity. To end extreme poverty in the world in the next 15 years, the number of people living on less than $1.25 a day has to reduce dramatically to less than 3%. To boost shared prosperity, we have to ensure that the poorest 40% of people living in developing countries share equally in the gains of economic growth. So like all of you here today, we have a deep interest in promoting policies and supporting projects that maximize sustainable and inclusive economic growth. In fact, that's our vision for 21st century global development. But we will not be able to turn that vision into reality unless India, home to more than 1.25 billion people, follows a path of rapid growth that benefits all Indians. Hundreds of millions of Indians still live on less than $1.25 a day, and the poorest 40% here constitutes 500 million people, and they themselves would be the third largest country in the world. Our success as an institution, therefore, is closely tied to this country's economic growth and development. For this reason, we're committed to catalyzing a vibrant India in addition to a vibrant Gujarat, with strong trade ties to its neighbors and one that is able to realize its full potential. For investors, entrepreneurs, and CEOs thinking of doing business in Gujarat and the country as a whole, there is much reason for optimism. We project that India will be a bright spot in an otherwise mediocre global economic outlook. Its economy, according to our projections, is expected to grow 6.4% this year and even faster in 2016. In addition, Prime Minister Modi and his government are quickly putting in place the building blocks for even more rapid growth. Streamlining the national regulatory structure, for example, using public funds more efficiently, and promoting social inclusion. For example, I've been very encouraged by the recent proposal of a Constitution Amendment Bill for a goods and services tax, which offers an opportunity to make it substantially easier to do business in India. A GST will create one common market and substantial savings for companies in terms of logistics, especially if the structure of the GST is uniform. The Modi government has also eliminated diesel subsidies that for years have been a drag on India's growth and harmed the environment. If made permanent, this decision will improve the country's fiscal position, reducing the cost of borrowing and public investments. Investing some of these newly liberated funds in human capital through, for example, increasing access to healthcare and education, will improve labor productivity and give people hope for a better future. As with the GST reform, this will bolster the country's attractiveness to investors and business, raise workers' incomes, and create jobs. In addition to the action that will accelerate growth, we're very encouraged to see that Prime Minister Modi has focused on programs to promote the broad sharing of the benefits of growth. Indian society has had an enduring exclusion that is based, among other things, on caste identities. This bias can impede shared prosperity, serving as a basis for discrimination in many spheres, including in employment and in other markets, as well as in public services. The government is well aware of this problem. Its special allocation to a fund for entrepreneurs from among the scheduled castes, and its focus on fixing bottlenecks so that money earmarked for the scheduled tribes reaches them are both ethically just and economically sound responses. These tax and subsidy reforms and public investments in human capital are essential to generating inclusive and sustainable growth in India over the next century. However, we all know that more can be done. Last July, when Prime Minister Modi and I met in Delhi, he asked us at the World Bank Group to serve as the government's information partner for its aggressive campaign to improve the economic welfare of all Indians. Together, the World Bank Group and the Government of India will build on decades of effective collaboration, which includes iconic projects like the Green Revolution and the White Revolution, the roads, bridges, and rail networks that link this vast land, and campaigns to tackle polio, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, and leprosy. We'll offer technical expertise and share knowledge on a variety of issues central to the country's accelerated economic development. I'm particularly excited about our work together on renewable power because it can make India the world leader in solar energy. The government has set an ambitious target of using solar power to produce 100,000 megawatts of electricity by 2022, which represents 12% of its total demand. We're helping to design the solar parks and farms, grid upgrades, and non-grid solutions to meet this target. Making power, with this approach, making power both available and accessible to everyone. We also have plans to provide billions of dollars in financing to make these designs a reality. Combined with the technical expertise we're providing states for the 24/7 Power for All initiative, this effort will create growth that is sustainable and inclusive through a strong solar energy sector, and ultimately, this will provide energy for everyone. The essential part of this is that this can also reduce the country's rapidly growing greenhouse gas emissions. So a vibrant solar sector can be a key element of India's contribution to the Paris Climate Change Conference. I feel very fortunate to be here in Gujarat at a time that feels like a crucial moment in the history of India. The country has enjoyed years of strong economic growth and it truly appears to have weathered the worst of the global economic crisis. It has a visionary leader who's focused on economic strategies that we believe will put the country on a path to faster, more inclusive growth. India is on the cusp of major progress in reducing the number of people living in extreme poverty. If these initiatives are fully implemented, Prime Minister Modi and his government will accelerate growth, make it more inclusive and sustainable, and allow businesses and entrepreneurs to profit, create jobs, and help the most vulnerable. Here, I think of Martin Luther King, a longtime hero of mine, who was himself, as all of you know, inspired by a favorite son of Ahmedabad, Mahatma Gandhi. Dr. King fought for civil rights in the United States and justice for the poor around the world. He showed us that in order to bring about historic change, we must ourselves forcefully bend the arc of history toward justice. Over the last several decades, rapid economic growth helped China lift hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. in the next decades, we believe that India can be the leader that guides us to the end of poverty. We are the first generation in human history that can eliminate extreme poverty from the face of the earth. With the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, with the leadership of all of you here in this room today, and most importantly, with the hard work of the people of this great country, we can unleash a movement that will remake history. Indeed, of all the things to make in India, the most important one, I think, for all of us, is to make right here in Gujarat, right here in India, the very foundation for a world free of poverty. Aabhar.